It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, welcome everyone to the Sam Lesante Show. A great show today, my friends. We're going to do some homework today, talking about the internal operations of Samson Productions and SSP TV. When we did our scientific poll, which was conducted by the Susquehanna Polling and Research, they did their poll from north of Harrisburg up to Scranton, and it was scientific. We had nothing to do with it. But what they found in that poll was the reason why we have the audience that we have is because there's no other stations around that are giving you the local neighborhood social media type news. And that's why we have over 21 programs we produce. One of the programs we produced, I always wanted to do a show pertaining to bringing more information to you about political situations and the facts, okay? So when Michael Marsicano ran for Congress and he was on the show, I was very impressed with the knowledge that he had. I've known Mike many, many years, but the knowledge of getting facts. So we had lunch, and I said, Mike, I'd like to do a show that will just give the people honest facts. I don't want any innuendos. And of course he took it, and the show is called And That's the Way It Is. Now, some of you, if I interviewed 25 people here at the Laurel Mall, 24 will say they love the show. One person will tell you, why do you have him on the air? They're upset with him, etc., etc. And so I said, well, what are you upset about? What upsets you about him and his show? Because I said to Michael, as the CEO, that I want them to be factual. And so, Michael, welcome to the Sam Lesante Show.
Nice to be here again.
Yeah. But, it's interesting because, your show is doing extremely well. Now, most people love you. Those people that hate you, it's what you did in the last show. You mentioned about Jack Webb, and when he was, Dragnet.
Yep.
His vote was, let the facts.
Just the facts, ma'am.
So explain to our viewers just exactly what you do and how you prepare for your show.
Well, what I try to do is I try to respond to the local events in the country, not only here in Hazleton, in Pennsylvania, the city and the state that I love, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but we're in the midst of a big election right now, and I think it'll change history. And so as the election was proceeding, and my first show was probably over a year ago, I took topics that I thought people didn't want to hear somebody talk about. 84% of the news media, Sammy, is run by the Democrats. And I was a Democrat one time, and a lot of my friends were, not anymore. The Democrat Party is not what it was. So staying on point here, what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at something like maybe the cognitive ability of Joe Biden, and I wanted to research it. And we did a program about that, based on facts, on scientific medical facts. Now, some people liked it and some people didn't. So if you were a Biden person, no matter what I said, whether it was the truth or not, they were going to agree with them, and I understand that. But it's necessary. It's necessary to hear both sides of this story. Or my mother used to tell me, the third side, of course, is the truth. We like to hear the truth also. So my program is based strictly on the facts, not my personal ideology and who do I like. Yeah, there's great people that are Democrats, sure. I haven't seen any around, but I'm sure they're great people. So it's not about an ideology, as Jack Webb used to say in Dragnet, when he stepped on the lady's door there, and she was starting to talk about something, he would tell her, just the facts, ma'am. And that's how my program is set up. I do the research on it. As you know, it takes me many, many hours because I know there are people out there say, well, that's not true. But it is true because I have the facts, and I usually make reference to those facts during the course of the program.
What happens is, right now, people are very sensitive, all right? And when you look at the facts, and we were talking before the show about, what has happened in the last 3 or 4 years, okay? And then When explain what happens, what we're facing every day when we get up in the morning. What do we look at?
Well, what's going on right now, we're less than 7 weeks away from a presidential election. So many of us, all of us, are involved in it, whether you vote or not. You're involved in it because what's going to happen directly affects you and your family and your future. And what I mean by that, all right, so you have Donald Trump and you have Kamala Harris. And people get tired of the numbers, Sammy. They get tired of hearing the percentages. Okay, well, it was 1.9%, it was 9% 2 years ago. What I try to tell the people, look at what affects you when you get up in the morning. When you get up in the morning and you put your coffee on, you think about how much it costs. You open the refrigerator and look at that milk, you think about how much it costs. The butter you're putting on your bread. A $20 bill in the grocery store goes nowhere today. Didn't happen on Donald Trump's watch. Did not happen on Donald Trump's watch, okay? You get in your car and you go to the gas station and you look what a gallon of gas is. Did not happen on Donald Trump's watch. Did not happen on Donald Trump's watch. Many people that have grandchildren or great-grandchildren now, they're concerned about the safety of their daughters going to school, about what's being taught to them, this critical race theory, boys competing with girls. It gives them a little angst. It gives them a little anxiety. You can see many people today are concerned whether they're going to vote or not. They're concerned about that in-your-face issues, and that's what I talk about. From the day you get up in the morning, till you go to your job, the people that you were working with. Some people are hired, Sammy, and a lot of people don't mean to use the terminology, but because this is still America. And the first, the number one, the number one amendment to this Constitution is the first one, freedom of speech. And many people are hired today, not because of merit, including pilots, and I have a little bit of experience in that. They're hired because of ethnicity or gender. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's destroying this country, but not on Donald Trump's watch. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, when you're going to have to make a decision, and you hear all of these commercials on television, whether they're Trump or whether they're Kamala Harris, I think you apply to Jack Webb, Dragnet. Just the facts, and you should vote accordingly.
I had Dave McCormick on the show, okay, and it's interesting. And here again, these are facts, my friends. 18 years, Casey has been our senator. Not once has he ever replied to come on the show and try to get their advertising agency to advertise with us. It's like, we don't count. Same thing with Cartwright. We invited Cartwright, but his agency said, our people really we skew differently, whatever that means. Well, they've been invited. So, Mike, what happens is we try to get these people on to ask them. Dave McCormick, no problem. He made a special trip with his bus to be here. Now, when he sat here and he said, Sam, let's talk, and I said, let's talk about those negative ads. So I think, Mike, when you see a lot of negative ads, and you saw that when you ran, they're afraid, they're scared. They're afraid of what's going to happen.
Well, they don't have any issues to talk about.
So here's the thing is, if you spoke to a group of men this morning and women,
yes.
Okay? Now, you will find, I asked them about Casey and McCormick. And what you have is, well, the Casey name. And his father was a great guy.
Great guy.
Yeah, great guy. I'd vote for him anytime. But what happens is, we lose sight of what is happening to us today and how did we get here today, because we have people that are not qualified, all right? So it's just like common sense, they don't have it anymore. I mean, we lost common sense.
Well, I think people have common sense, but what I think happens is a lot of people don't follow politics at the level that you and I do, or people in the print media, news reporters. So they rely on our news. I mean, I used to remember coming home and watching the news, the 6 o'clock news, and that's pretty much what they said. So 84% of the news today, actually around 91%, is slanted against Republicans, against conservatives.
Why is that, Michael?
Well, it's all about power and retention. You see, politicians like Casey and Matt Cartwright, who I know, I mean, They should be asked a question when you see them at the Laura Mall or in a grocery store. How do you feel about the government castrating our children and the taxpayers paying for it? About sex changes being given to criminals, illegal criminals, and Kamala Harris, who happens to be running for president, championed it. How do you feel about that? Ask them these questions. They don't. So what happens is people work, they come home, they hear it on the radio, they hear it on the news, and it's all negative stuff. And the reason it's negative, you know, if you ask a Democrat, name me 5 things that the Democrats did during Joe Biden's. He'll talk about COVID-19, you know, he'll talk about the Green New Deal, he'll talk about the jobs, which is a lie, they just exploded. They have like 4 or 5 issues that don't make any sense and did nothing for this country. Yet, if you look at the polls, and that's another story, they seem to be neck and neck. And how do the people make the right decision? The right decision is look in the mirror in the morning when you're brushing your teeth. How do you feel? You know, how do you feel? It's your perception of it. I live in America. It costs a hell of a lot to live in America today. It's not safe in America today. I'm afraid of things. We have 2 world wars going on, not on Donald Trump's watch. You'll hear me say that. And I told you before the show started, when we were talking a little bit. I'm going to tell you, it did not happen on Donald Trump's watch. All of this happened, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who was the deciding vote on Afghanistan, last one in the room, and you'll get a whole lot more of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and a stomachache when you get up in the morning, not by Donald Trump. What's going on in this country today, I believe, I don't even know if disgrace is the word for it. And I've done so much research on this, what's going on in the military and their position with Gaza and Hezbollah and the Houthis controlling the Red Sea, the Suez Canal. We don't even hear this stuff. There's supposed to be a strike of 46,000 longshoremen to shut this country down. All of this stuff will have to go to the West Coast. Where's Pete Buttigieg? I'll tell you what he did. They spent $8 billion for 7 battery chargers in Indiana. And when it comes to Kamala Harris, they gave $6 billion to Iran for 5 hostages. Where's Pete Buttigieg? Where's Secretary Raimondo from Labor stepping up and saying, hey, we got to get Biden or we got to get Kamala Harris, who wants to be the commander-in-chief, and go meet with these union people so we don't have a strike. And Thanksgiving's coming, Christmas is coming. They're allowing this to happen. This, not Trump, the present administration. And that's what's going on in this country.
I got an email from someone who said, I'll just condense it, and said, Sam, ask your viewers this. If they had to take their life's earnings, okay, their portfolio, which we call it, and give it to someone to invest for them and their family, would they give that life savings to Kamala Harris, or would they give it to Donald Trump? Forgetting the person, what they're white, pink, black, or they hate them, okay? So ask your viewers that and have them decide who would you want to run your life when they have complete control of your finances. Interesting question, isn't it?
I would venture to say it would be a surprising, shocking answer, because millions will say Kamala Harris. And look, there's no way to teach or legislate common sense. Trump talks it all about it. He's a man of common sense. And most people are in the United States. So there's no answer to that. If somebody has an ideology, they're a Democrat, and they don't care, America could burn and be destroyed. And it's going to. It's going to. And I don't mean to scare anybody, but I said I try to be factual in what I'm telling you, but I get around. I was just up in Oregon. I was in Colorado. Talked a lot of Trump signs everywhere. Signs don't vote. But you could feel the temperature, Sammy, of the people. You know, we're talking about there's a couple states in play here. These people that are, you know, look in the mirror in the morning, we got to remember that. The election's going to probably be, well, Biden won last time by 41,000 votes. You know, so if you look at Georgia, what looks pretty good, they have 16 electoral votes. She's at, let's see, she's at 225. Trump's at 219. They need to get to 270. Not to get off the subject here, but Georgia looks pretty good. North Carolina looks pretty good. And I think he's going to take Pennsylvania. Now, if she loses Pennsylvania, she's done. Trump could lose Pennsylvania and still win the election because we have Michigan in play, we have Wisconsin in play, Arizona and Nevada. And the polling that's being done, Sammy, Trump is way ahead in those states. Now, how do we know that? The liberal press is telling us. So they're talking about underpolling, and it happens. People don't want to answer the phone. I don't. The hell with it. I had enough of it. You know, so you don't get an accurate, and I talk about polling, and you remember when I was mayor, I was a 7-1 underdog. And we took 21 of the 24 precincts in this city. Not that I want to talk about local elections or Mike Marsicano, because I lost more elections than I won. But what I'm telling you is that I believe this election will be settled in those states, and there may be a couple surprises with New Jersey and New York.
Folks, I'm talking to Mike Marsicano. He does the show, and that's the way it is. We have it on YouTube channel for those who do. He has a tremendous audience across the country. And just talking about facts. Some of the things I know are upsetting. I have a lot of good friends who say to me, why do you have Mike on? Well, I have him on because he speaks the truth. Any one of you think, if you hear anything that we are saying, Mike, myself, or whatever, email me, sam@ssptv.com, and tell me exactly what you feel in your opinion. One other thing we're talking about, I had a person again tell me, Sam, when you mentioned about the press, listen, facts are facts. If you pick up any paper, read their editorials, read the letters to the editor, and a month go by and put pluses and minuses. Which ones have the pluses about Trump, minus about Trump, plus about Kamala, minus about Kamala. I guarantee at the end of the month you're going to see, how could this be fair? How could it be fair? All right? It seems like, Mike, fairness is down the tubes, okay? We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. My guest, Mike Marsicano from the show, and that's the way it is. I mentioned before about you can watch Mike's show on YouTube. You can't. They don't allow his show on, but Rumble does. And, of course, our website's open all over the world. All the shows are there. And we're talking about facts, okay? Michael, let's talk about some of the issues that we face every day, and some people think it's important, some people don't. Let's talk about how this immigration thing is going to kill us.
It affects you from the time you get up in the morning till, God forbid, you're sick and you have to go to the hospital. It's illegal. What did not happen on Donald Trump's watch. It's illegal. Biden and Kamala Harris, who is the czar, she's responsible for this, have caused the cancer in this country. Presently, we have not street gangs like MS-13. We have paramilitary groups coming here from Venezuela, trained by the communist government down there. That's who's coming across the border, taking over hotels in Aurora, California, automatic weapons. They're illegals, illegal aliens. Kamala Harris has allowed this to happen, allowed it to happen. My background's law enforcement, and I get to talk to a lot of law enforcement people. And we're concerned about it because when I was a young state trooper, a long time ago, the law was applied in a much different way than it is now. Much different way than it is now. And we had a Democratic governor, Milt Schaaf. So it's not along party lines. This is wrong to leave illegal people into this country, put them on Social Security, strip the benefits from my 96-year-old mother and my daddy who's not here anymore. To our senior citizens, strip their benefits and give them to people that do not belong here. A lion's share of them, Sammy, are illegals. You hear former President Trump talking about it. From prisons, from mental institutions. They do not want to assimilate here. They don't respect the American flag. They burn it. Don't come here from Venezuela and tell me you want to fly. I'm of Italian descent. I love my My grandfather came here for one reason, to make sure his sons were born here, not in Italy, and his grandson was born here. We're Americans, not only the Polish and the Jewish, everybody. It's changed. It's changed, but not on Donald Trump's watch. And so I'm very passionate about this immigration deal. People that are coming in here, listen, 30,000 people get flown in here every month on 767s chartered from North American and Orion. How do I know that? Why is that factual? Because some of my friends are 767 pilots and dropped them off in White Plains, New York. Dropped them off here at Wilkes-Barre, not during the day, but in the evening. Nobody talks about that. 30,000, an overt move to bring illegal problems to this country every month. There are 360-some thousand people. They lost 330,000 children to sex trafficking and drugs. Not on Donald Trump's watch in the last 3.5 years. Illegal immigration is a cancer to the United States of America. Our people are under siege here. Whether it's, I talked about going to the hospital, go up to the hospital up to Lehigh Valley here. If you have a problem, you'll be put in line in front of people that don't speak English, that have no damn reason for being in this country, and the only reason they're here is because of Kamala Harris, who is the border czar. And by the way, when we're talking about people, people are today who they were in the past. You have a legacy, a tradition, ethnicity. We all do. You can't say that you're against guns, you're against fracking, and 3 days before you're selected to be the nominee, you change 180 degrees. We are who we were. These people that are coming here have no business being here. Legal immigration, I support it 100%. But this all happened not on Donald Trump's watch. We're probably at 21, 22, $23 million. Go up 309 to Wilkes-Barre. Get on 81 and go up to, do you ever see traffic like this in your life? I go through Hazleton, the town that I grew up in, you know, went to school here, my whole family, 3 generations. There must be like 15, 20 cars on a block, 200 feet long. That's a block in the street in Hazleton. Where are these people coming from? Where are they coming from? You go to the Laurel Mall or you go to a grocery store and nobody's speaking English. This is a cancer on the United States of America. We do not know who's coming here. Nobody's getting vetted. And the people, I pray to God, on November 5th, will do the right thing and save our country, because that's what we're talking about.
See, but Mike, what happens is, and these are facts, I mean, here again, everything you're saying is actually true. And Casey voted for those things, okay? Voted along with Biden. Cartwright supported those, okay? And they're trying to hide, in my opinion, they're trying to hide from that.
Because it's bad.
Yeah. See, what happens when you say these things about, you know, you go in there, they don't speak English, etc. They should learn English, and that we should provide it for them. You become racist. You see, Mike Marsicano is a racist when you talk that way.
Yeah.
Okay?
But I'm not.
I know that. And this is how they tag you, okay? Now, let me get back to the liberal press. We run commercials. Commercials, we want people to look at our advertisers, so eventually if they need something, they go and buy for advertisers. Print media, billboards, magazines, radio stations, they advertise for people to buy. But if you don't have money, you cannot buy that particular item, especially if you're being sucked of your discretionary income. So inflation takes that all for you. So in my mind is, why would the press or anyone want to promote things that are bad for our advertisers? I mean, it comes down to $1 and cents. I mean, so you're promoting people that are not really eligible to run the country, and and you just mentioned facts. Anyone in the right mind, how do you say, I want more of this? It's so confusing to me.
Well, it's very easy. The news media and the print media don't tell the truth. And in not telling the truth, they're hurting the American people. And the reason they don't is because they're in lockstep with the Democratic Party. With the Democratic Party. Do you think for 1 minute that they're not? That they're not? They're in step with the Democratic Party, and they want to remain in office. I told you, I'd love to have Casey on my program.
You won't get him.
And Cartwright together.
Yeah.
And I would say, you know what?
You'll never get
We'll
it.
hold up a little blackboard here. Tell me what your accomplishments have been in 16 years, or you 4 terms there, Cartwright. Tell me what you've done for the people. Nothing, not so much. But they have the money. They have the money, and they want to retain their power and that money and that control over the American people. And I think we're at a breaking point in this country right now.
Well, Michael, you continue doing, as I said, you have the facts. My friends, Kamala Harris, I think, spend more time at going to Planned Parenthood facilities than she did on the border. And she, as far as she's concerned, you can kill an unborn baby anytime you want, in my opinion. Am I correct in saying that, Mike? She's open.
I'd like to just add something here. For some of the folks that watched the debate on ABC with Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, he specifically looked in her eyes, and she was smiling, snickering, and said, well, give me the month. Give me the month in the 9-month period when a woman is pregnant that she can't have an abortion. She would not say it because she's complicit with abortion anytime up to and after the baby's born. Period. That's a fact.
The Democrats are hanging their hat and trying to convince you women that they're trying to do with their reproductive rights. I would like Kamala Harris to have this read to her. And for all of you people who think it's perfectly okay to kill an unborn baby, here's a letter. If you can't keep me, Mama, it's all right. I'll understand. Please let someone else reach out to take my tiny hand. So many childless couples would be happy as can be if they could but adopt and love a little one like me. Remember that when you were just as small, as frail as I am, your mother didn't make the choice to have her baby die. You had your choice to live, your chance to live. So please, let me have my chance too. I can't escape. I can't cry out. My life depends on you. The Democrats, the National Democrats, are promoting the abortions to kill a beating heart. I see professional medical people on advertising saying, why can we not have abortions? What a sick world we have. We'll see you next time.